Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video we are going to be looking at Shane Dawson's magnum opus, Not Cool. The film he directed in 2014. I'm aware that some other YouTubers have reviewed this film, but firstly, I'm the funniest. Secondly, no one else on this platform seems to appreciate just how much of a masterpiece this film is, so we're going to give it the praise and the recognition that it truly deserves in this video essay. But first, today's video is being sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Do you like games? Do you like playing games? This is the game for you if you like doing games. This is honestly the best game I've ever seen in my entire 2,000 years of being alive. You can get such mileage out of this bad boy. Goes 0 to 100 real quick as soon as you download this game onto your phone. Did you know you can download it onto your phone? You can also play it on your desktop. So really, you've got no excuse to not download and play this incredible game. I don't know who I was or where I was going in life before I found Raid Shadow Legends, but boy, am I glad that I know where I'm going now. Of course that is, I'm going to go play Raid Shadow Legends. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to open up some shards and see what bad boys come out. So this champion is called Valerie. Check out the assets on her. Right, now who else have we got? And here is the Anointed. Look at him, ambidextrous, so talented. And finally we have the Hill Nomad. Wow, love her hair. Make sure you check out the new feature, the Tag Team Arena, where you can tag people and team up and fight and stuff, I'm guessing. Go to the video description, click on the special links, and if you are a new player, you will get 100,000 silver, plus 2 clan boss keys, plus 10 mystery shards, plus 1 free champion, the Executioner. Now, closer than you ever wanted to see me, all this treasure will be waiting for you up here, right here, not over here, up here, so make sure you check it out. All the relevant links will be in the description box, and thank you so much Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Now, what piqued my interest about this film before seeing it was on Wikipedia, under the reception drop-down bar, one reviewer was stated as saying, the Los Angeles Times also gave it a negative review, calling the film an abyss, an insult to the craft of filmmaking, storytelling and entertainment in almost every way. An abyss. It got described as an abyss. That is beautiful. You know the saying, you stare too long at the abyss and the abyss begins to stare back? That's this film, so let's get into it. The film opens with a party scene, the camera panning to show teenagers doing various illicit things whilst tweeting out contradictory statements. For example, a boy tweets out, "Oh, I miss my girlfriend," whilst kissing another boy. Subtext is a theme that's often missed by a lot of people, so director Shane Dawson makes sure that all of his audience is on the same page by furiously shoving the jokes in your face. While some may consider this hand-holding, I think it's commendable of him to do this, otherwise I would have no idea what's going on. I wouldn't even know what the joke was. So at this party, which is a flashback, we're introduced to the main character, Tori, who is, importantly, not played by actor Shane Dawson. Tori gives us a bit of an exposition, some crucial background info, such as during high school she was called Tori the Hoary, and she once had sex with a zucchini, or a courgette for my European followers. She also broke her own hymen with a baby carrot. Then she gets vomited on by someone she went to high school with. This represents the ugly regurgitation of her harrowing past. A quick cut to the next scene, which actually takes place before the introductory party scene, so this is almost considered to be a flashback, and it's at a train station or a hospital. Can't really tell which. It's not exactly clear, even though an overhead speaker says quite clearly this is a train station, or something to that effect. The set sort of looks like a hospital waiting room around Christmas time, even though this film is set during the Thanksgiving period. This ambiguity is purposeful. Tori's and the audience's, presumably, confusion at being at a train station that sort of looks like a hospital is symbolic of Tori's own confusion at what direction her life is going to take at this crossroad, almost like getting on the wrong train at a train station. But then this sparks the question, would that be confusion at the hand that fate has dealt you? Or is it saying more about your inability to infer information correctly because it's 2020, or 2014 when this was set? What kind of idiot gets on the wrong train at a train station? There's signposts everywhere. You could almost gather that I'm confused at where my metaphor was going to. But again, the confusion, purposeful. And there are still undertones of the set being a hospital, even though it's meant to be a train station. Could this be symbolic of the healing that is about to take place within Tori? Anyway, Tori's family appears and they are visually loud. They look noisy. And she bemoans them to a homeless man sitting next to her who bravely declares that he would rather eat his own shit than hang out with her family. And then he proceeds to eat his own shit. Tori has a sister who is blind because director Shane Dawson understands the importance of leaning into obvious jokes. If there aren't at least several instances in this film of the blind sister walking into something, then I'm going to ask for a refund. Then the homeless man proceeds to eat even more shit. And this is actually commentary on how contemporary America treats the downtrodden like shit. People thought that this was just a mean English joke done in poor taste, but actually it's political commentary on the poorest in our society. Director Shane Dawson really hammers this commentary home by making the actor of this role African American, and boldly enough does not play the part himself despite having great experience in the past of doing so. Enter Scott. This character is played by director Shane Dawson, who is then greeted by his blonde nympho girlfriend who attempts to engage in coitus with him in a public toilet. Cue a cameo appearance from the homeless man who was last seen 60 seconds ago, but this time he's drinking his own urine. This appears to be political commentary on the Bosnian conflict, but I may be incorrect with that interpretation. Scott's girlfriend breaks up with Scott mid-blowjob, pre-climax to be exact, which is probably one of the worst of times to break up with someone, all to sad piano music in the background. This establishes the blonde nympho as the villain of this dramatic piece, but not without a hint of melancholy. Shane Dawson really gets to show off his acting chops here by doing the same sad face raised eyebrow look that he does in every single apology video. How this performance was passed up for an Oscar is beyond me. For the next scene, we're at a high school where Shane Dawson, director, author, dreamweaver, visionary, plus actor, shows us how versatile his acting ability is by playing a blonde high school girl who sounds like every angry character he's ever had on his channel. Here we are introduced to two characters, Joel and Janie. Joel is creepily obsessed with Janie, but as she is a popular girl and he's just some schmuck played by a YouTuber who has a few subscribers, it looks as though these star-crossed lovers doesn't have what it takes to become actual star-crossed lovers. It's very sad. Some of the realism which has been painstakingly crafted in this film so far with the aforementioned shit-eating, piss-drinking homeless man is lost here, as Joel brags about having a Tumblr account, which is something no one would ever do. Joel accidentally tells Janie that her father is going to close his vinyl shop up, and she's very upset to hear this. Janie and Scott, the blowjob guy, are actually siblings, and they confront their father about him closing the shop. He tells them it's because he met someone and he wants to move to Florida, and they react in an angry way towards him. Tori is now at home video chatting with her stereotypically gay best friend who says girl every single sentence. He also wears a scarf, though you could say that the scarf wears him. And that's his entire character. It should be mentioned here that Tori's character is a bitch about everything for absolutely no discernible reason. What's amazing about this film is we're actually only 10 minutes into it so far, yet so much information has been punched repeatedly into my face that it feels like I've been watching it for a lifetime. But seriously, if there isn't an obnoxious fart joke soon, then I'm going to have to complain to someone. It's not a Shane Dawson bit without overly disgusting humour. And then Tori's mum shits herself while stretching. Classic. Hate it when that happens. Tori and Joel go to a party together and Joel talks about Janie sitting on his face and makes weird tongue movements that doesn't make me want to call the police immediately on a film from 2014. He then pretends to drink out of her vagina with a straw. It's a bit much. Blonde high school girl Shane is back to complain that this party is #lame. I've only been roofied and fingered twice tonight. What is this? A bat mitzvah? The small group of girls talk about a new drug called ethyl, which is a mix of Molly and old people medicine. In much the same way that the party in this scene bombards you with sights and sounds and washes over you, so too does the film, leaving you to recollect whatever you can piece together afterwards. Joel spills a drink over Janie and takes her to the bathroom to try to dry her off, and anytime these two have a scene alone together, I want to call the police. Joel wants Janie to go to his college and offers to help her with her schoolwork. Janie was clearly never taught stranger danger as a child because she accepts his offer. She accepts the offer from a man who constantly looks like he's about to apologise for prematurely ejaculating at any given moment. Was that a bit too much? Meanwhile, Tori gets chicken tikka masala vomited all over her. It's the scene from the beginning, basically. And then decides to go home. I'm not sure what the symbolism of chicken tikka masala is. I'm sure someone in the comments below can help me out there. The immediate scene after, we see Scott desperately trying to search for his nympho ex before getting hit by Tori's car. This is a subtle metaphor for us, the audience, also getting hit by Tori's car, but like in the mind and shit. Tori remembers Scott, but Scott doesn't remember her because he's too cool and he's too attractive, and also Shane Dawson directed this. In this next exchange between the two characters, we get a fantastic example of director Shane Dawson's inclusivity and generosity towards his audience, whom he desperately doesn't want to miss any of the jokes. Scott: Kay, says the party is only 1 mile from here. Tori: oh fantastic, I'm glad there's an app that can make stalking more efficient. Scott: I'm not stalking, Kay. I'm merely using technology to help me locate someone who doesn't want to talk to me at the moment. Which is stalking. If I may be so bold in the comparison, it's like the Big Bang Theory of movies. Tori tries to insult Scott by saying his hair is amazing and he knows he's attractive. This thrilling dialogue was brought to you by Shane Dawson, actor and director. Tori is trying to tell Scott that high school is over and no one cares anymore, and I think this is meant to be a self-aware, ironic nod to the fact that present-day Shane acts as though he finally gotten to sit with the cool kids in the cafeteria. Then Scott and Tori, while she's still smelling of vomit by the way, have sex in her car. Hopefully with no zucchinis in sight. I'm going to speed this review up a tiny bit and gloss over some things because we're only 25 minutes into this modern day odyssey of cinema, and I don't want this video to be an hour long. I don't care enough and I'm not paid enough. Scott and Janie have this crazy aunt who was once abducted by aliens, and then the aliens impregnated her, and then the alien baby in her stomach ate its way out of her uterus, and honestly she's probably the most realistic character in the film so far. Kind of sounds a little bit like that bit in The Simpsons where Ralph Wiggum says that he saw Principal Skinner and Mrs. Krabappel in the cupboards and they were having sex, and then they had a baby, and then the baby came out and the baby looked at him.
Mrs. Krabappel and Principal Skinner were in the closet making babies, and I saw one of the babies, and the baby looked at me.
Baby looked at you?
It's exactly like that bit from The Simpsons. It's Thanksgiving and Tori is just being awful to everyone for no reason. Director Shane Dawson was clearly challenging himself by trying to see if a character this unlikable could be liked by the audience. Unfortunately, it failed. But actually, who needs a sympathetic protagonist anyway? This is exploratory, like French cinema. Director Shane Dawson is taking cinema to strange new places. That's 2 references in the past 2 minutes. Pretty good, right? Scott gets a crush on Tori and goes over to her house to bother her, and Tori breaks the 4th wall in a tremendous way by saying, "You're so stuck in high school, it's frightening." Tori's mum invites Scott in to play this rip-off of Dance Dance Revolution, but oddly enough, there's no dance mats. The game just seems to know where they're stepping. Some critics may call this a problem with budgeting, but I see it as an example of retrofuturism, with scientist Shane Dawson predicting the rise of VR. Side note, this film came out in 2014, and of course I could just look it up with the internet to see if it's a real game or if I'm just being a snarky idiot, but I don't want to do that because I don't care. Actually, I did look it up after all, and it turns out it's a real game called Dance Central. So now I look like a boomer, but I don't see how this is possible because this film came out in 2014 and games like this didn't exist back before then. The only games that existed before then were Tetris and hide and seek. So actually, this film is akin to Inception, in which it is frequently too smart for its own audience. You win this round, director Shane Dawson. I'm not pausing the camera every few moments to stop myself from crying because I'm genuinely losing the will to live right now. And this film definitely didn't do that to me. Anyway, let's continue on. Creepy Joel is stalking Janie's Facebook so he can gather notes for the perfect evening with her, and then he over-sexualizes a selfie of her whilst her dad is near him because that's not a red flag or anything. Tori and Joel go shopping so Joel can buy Janie a dress for their evening, and Tori is enabling this behaviour. I don't know why. Tori is a horrible character and terrible person, unlike our hero and sometimes heroine, actor, director, YouTuber, Shane Dawson. Scott appears and says soz to Tori, and then they bond over pictures of people getting tasered at the mall and agree to hang out later because #couple goals. Cue a montage of Tori and Scott getting up to teenage hijinks like defecating on people's lawns and buying comically sized dildos. Tori has Scott eat a pot brownie and then they go up in a ski lift thing and moon their entire town. And I actually wrote in the script question mark followed by an actual question mark. Then there's a cameo from the shit-eating, piss-drinking homeless man from the beginning of the movie, and he's just rubbing his genitals against the window. That's a series of events that happens in this film, and we aren't even 45 minutes into it. You see why I have to keep taking my almost crying breaks? Now we cut back to Joel with Janie. Joel has rented out an entire party bus being driven by none other than, yes, you guessed it, female cab driver Shane Dawson. He's honestly so versatile. He doesn't get enough credit on this platform, guys. This cab driver wants to perv on the teenagers, by the way. I guess life certainly does imitate art sometimes. I'm genuinely struggling with reading my lines. Can you see how defeated I look right now? I'm not going to cry today. I'm struggling right now, so I'm just going to read directly from my script, and if any of you have a problem with that, then fuck off, go to any other YouTuber who can get through 3 lines without fucking up because they can talk properly. The cab driver mentions Janie being of indeterminate ethnic origins. The subtext here is that Shane is creating an other in his family, the fictional family, but Shane, Scott, same person, doesn't really matter at this point. Thus creating an estrangement, thereby leading to his sense of isolation within the movie, hence his longing for someone that truly understands him, appearing in the form of Tori. You honestly sit there and look at me and tell me that you would have been able to get through all of that without breaks and without fucking it up 10 times, and then you might see why I'm getting increasingly irate as this review goes on. Maybe I should quit. Yada yada yada, Joel acts creepy, Janie gets fed up, and then Joel just gives her the answers to the test that she's studying for. Janie clearly states to Joel that nothing is ever going to happen between them, but you know what creeps, predators and alpha males all say? Persistence beats resistance. They put up to Janie's favourite restaurant, and because all girls are just shallow, am I right fellas, she goes to dinner with him because he gives her a dress that she's wanted. Anyway, Tori ends up telling Scott that the brownie didn't contain any weed. Plot twist. It's a contrived plot point that leeways into the more important conversation of this is kind of revenge, kind of payback, because Scott was mean to Tori in high school. So what better way to get revenge on someone by fake drugging them, but they enjoy the experience because they just get to eat fries and laugh at things. So 10 out of 10. Revenge plot. Was this written by Onision? As I hear the words coming out of my mouth, I'm just getting flashbacks of all those fucking book reviews I've done of Onions. Then Tori cries about being a loser to try to get the audience to empathise with someone who has been objectively unlikable for 50 minutes now, and it ain't gonna work on me, mate. Then Scott also breaks the fourth wall by telling Tori how every Friday he's been masturbating furiously for 5 hours straight, and then afterwards emotionally binge eating. A surge of realism and an insight into the life of artiste Shane Dawson. Joel's creepy house of predatory cards falls down. Kind of proud of that one. When Janie realises he's been Facebook stalking her to conduct the perfect evening all along. But then somehow Janie thinks that it's actually really sweet and cute to be a grade A fucking weirdo because, I don't know, Shane Dawson directed this fucking film or something. Tori and Scott go to an empty football stadium, and Scott's mum had died of cancer previously, and then Tori hits him in the stomach to be romantic. Again, I'm just going to read this next bit directly from the script so you guys get an insight into how I was feeling whilst I was watching and writing this down. Joel takes Janie into an empty store because stranger danger, but actually there's a musical duo there singing from a show that Janie likes, and then Janie dances with Joel, and oh god, I hate this so much. I hate it when anything reinforces to men that if you are creepy enough you can wear a woman down eventually. I'm not even being ironic here, just actually fuck off with this shit. Breaking away from all the irony for a moment, I legitimately hate Joel's character in this film the most. Out of everything, I hate it. I'm just so done with the trope of creepy guy harasses hot girl until he likes her. Never really, the genders are never really reversed, are they? If the genders were reversed, it would be, look at that disgusting girl. That's just fucking, fuck off. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. This is meant to be an ironic, funny review, not me having a meltdown for 20 minutes straight. They kiss and Janie, the word Janie isn't even sounding like a real name anymore. They kiss and Janie regains enough sense to run away from him. Tori and Scott have sex in the car again. Scott wants Tori to ditch her classes because he wants them to run away for a road trip in Kentucky. You know you're allowed to have sex with your dog there. And as I was writing this review, I just finished watching D'Angelo Wallace's recent documentary on Shane Dawson, so then they have a forced argument. I don't care. New scene, Joel is angry that he can't wear Janie down long enough to get into her pants because, again, this isn't a red flag or anything. Joel lets slip that he's a virgin, and honestly, at that moment, if it was going to be revealed that Janie was going to have pity sex with him, I would have been ready to sue everyone. Sue my parents for giving birth to me and creating me without my consent, suing Shane Dawson for this schlock, suing existence for existing. I was ready to throw this entire existence into the bin because, again, fuck off with that shit. But then no, Janie's like, I'll wingman you and you can have sex with my weird friends, including blonde high school girl Shane Dawson. We'll get to that in a minute. Scott goes to a house party upset that he and Tori have had an argument and aren't speaking. She's ignoring him and his ex is there and she punches a girl who she mistakenly thinks that he has slept with. Now it's the Blind Sisters engagement party, and honestly I'm very impressed with Shane Dawson so far. There's no obvious blind jokes in this scene anyway. And then 1 minute later, the sister walks into something, so impression revoked. I like how I started off this review with a real script and real jokes, and now I just don't care. The sister talks Tori into being nicer to Scott. Tori goes to the party and sees the ex-girlfriend forcing herself onto Scott, because predictability in a plotline is something that we really need to just lean into in films. And also, male rape is not something to be taken seriously at all. Duh. There's 15 minutes left of this film and I've no idea what hackneyed technique director Shane Dawson, is going to pull out here to wrap up all this plot, but I can barely contain my excitement. So to win Tori back, Scott shaves off his hair. Must have been a really hard scene for Shane to film. So then they shave the rest of his hair and, oh look, Onision's in this film. So yeah, then Joel loses his virginity to blonde girl Shane Dawson. Then they go to a different party and do the DDR dance. The Dance Central dance, whatever, doesn't matter. And whilst writing the script, I wrote, I'm upset. These are tears of happiness at how good this film is. Honestly. And then it ends at the train station that we were at the beginning, and there's a monologue about how you must live in the present because, you know, if you live in the present, then you're never going to miss a train. It's exactly like that scene in The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions where they're at the train station, but instead of Keanu Reeves, imagine it's a homeless man eating his own shit, stuck in a loop forever. And that's it. The ending credits begin to roll with a blooper reel of actors pretending to not want to tear their own skin off every time Shane Dawson touches them. We cannot confirm, but we do want to assume that no animals or children were harmed in the making of this film. That's it, guys. That's my review. I'm not going to cry after the camera turns off, but if you enjoyed this video, do remember to like, comment, subscribe, please. I don't know why this was so difficult for me to get through today. The words weren't coming out every 2 seconds. Oh god. It was just a lot, so do remember to like, comment, subscribe. A big thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Thank God. And yeah, that's it. See you guys next time. Bye.